This episode contains sensitive topics. Discretion is advised. Hello and welcome back to an all-new episode of the Lusty Lounge podcast. I don't remember how to do the intro because it's been like 4 months and I am very tired. This week, as always, joining me, we have Puce.
What's up, folks?
And we have a special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is The Varking online. You can also just call me Zach if you want to. And I am an artist, professionally trained, and ignored all of that to go straight into drawing porn for a living, for the most part.
Hell yeah.
I think you might be the first. You said professionally trained?
Yes, I went to...
So you went to school for it and stuff?
Mm-hmm. I went to college for art, specifically.
I think you're the first artist we've interviewed that has an art degree then.
Oh, trust me.
I think.
It doesn't show. None of what I do shows anything that I learned from college, except for the rare occasion.
Now we have to ask all of the previous artists, do you have an art degree?
I don't think any of them did, because a lot of them were
think
like, well,
you
COVID
did either.
happened, and so I was like, well, I'm good at drawing, so I guess I'll stick to that.
There are several artists that I've met that got their career off the ground because of COVID.
That seems to be the
Jealous.
big factor.
We fucked up. We realized that in our last
the only
episode.
I think the only one we've interviewed so far who has done it longer than COVID was Beetle.
Well, I've done it for a while since before COVID as well.
So you are also startup.
Nope.
Don't say it like that. That sounds so bad. So, quick primer on how we got here. I was working Classicon East, as I do. Not the flea market. Is the flea market? It's not the flea market. Craft fair? Craft show? Craft show was happening, and my friend dragged me into the craft show and went, titties. And I went, hey, yo, I've seen these titties before. I have stickers. And then you immediately went, nah, it's not me. And then you went, wait, I was in the hallway. Yeah, that was me. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I got the stickers. They're in the sticker book.
Yeah, I had forgotten that it was last year that I was at the convention last time, and that also I remember that you came by. It just took me a second to realize it.
I still feel bad because I went, I'm going to come back for these. Give me an hour and a half later. Hey, we had an emergency, but I'm here and I'm back. And the pink vest is gone because emergency. So yeah, that's how we got to where we are now.
And you bought my book.
I sure did. You didn't even really have to try to sell it. You just went, I have one left. So I was like, okay, here's my card. Just take it.
Oh, I appreciate that. I do, very much so.
No,
I think this
I like
also
the
marks
art
technically the first guest we've met, or one of us have met. Besides D.
Okay, I was gonna say, well, D is my cousin, so you know.
Besides D. You're the first person.
Correct, which is awkward.
Nah, that's not awkward. You already
Awkward
got
for
some
me.
rapport with me. You looked me in the eyes and you said, I want to buy your porn.
Yeah, I sure did 2 times in 2 times in a row. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You have purchased my titties twice now.
Well, hopefully you come back. That is a statement. Hopefully you come back next year.
We'll see. I did well, but Colossal continues not to accept me into the artist alley, so I continue having to be in the flea market.
I think I know who picks the artist, and I will just fight them.
Well, they've never treated me poorly. They've actually always worked very hard to take care of the people who go into the craft fair flea market area. So I don't have any qualms with that. It's just that it is a long drive for me to get there, and a long drive home, and doing that in one day, then going to the con and vending for the whole day, then packing up and leaving the same day on that same long drive can be very exhausting.
No, like I said, I will just fight them.
Now you've got an insider.
Well, hey.
Kinda.
If you want to go to bat for me, I will not say no.
When we have our company party, I will what's a good way to describe what I want to do? I will gently persuade the person.
Oh, I was just gonna go with verbally abuse them until they say yes.
I'm too scared to do that with who I think it is, so no.
I
Putting my
appreciate the
hands on
honesty.
people, no problem. Talking's hard.
I'm much better with my words.
You do have a wonderful voice, so understandable.
Thank you. I've been told by many people that I have a voice for radio. It took several years for me to finally try and do something with it.
At least they didn't say you have a face for radio.
Hey, that's me.
Nah, I just have a snaggletooth. Same one as my dad.
How you know he's you? That's how you know he's your dad. Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how I got that tooth. Because I was like 4 years old. Had one of those old metal Tonka trucks. And I ran down the hallway running after it after I rolled it. I tripped and smacked my tooth right on the bucket. And it jammed into my mouth and broke my bottom jaw's middle left tooth.
That's
And
terrible. I'm sorry.
oh yeah, I remember crying about it. I remember crying about it pretty something fierce. And then when I got older, I grew the tooth in. Same one as my dad. My mom asked me, "Hey, do you want some braces to fix that?" Being the stupid kid I was, I said, "No, it gives me character. They want to get rid of who I am."
I feel that on like a deep personal level as someone who had braces and just fucked up with their retainer. So, yeah.
Yeah, nowadays I sit here and I'm like, damn, this tooth does get in the way of my tongue, but it also fucks with my bite. But it's the only tooth that's messed up, so I live with it.
Fair. All right. So you said you were professionally, classically trained. You said one of those words.
Professionally. Never
Ooh,
said
that
classically.
one.
Never said classically.
Is there classically trained in drawing?
Yes, there is.
Ah.
We won't touch that right now. I'm gonna put a pin in that. So, what does it mean to be professionally trained in drawing?
It depends on the field that you want to get trained in. There are many fields for art, many fields for character design, and many fields for scenery, for figure drawing. You can go into so many different fields when it comes to drawing specifically. For me, I went into character design for film and video games. That was where I chose to focus my efforts in learning. I went to college for that and took a 2-year vocational course on the subject. But I also did a duo in that class for character animation, again for film and video games. And while I didn't graduate the top of my class for character art and design, I did for 3D animation.
Oh.
That's pretty.
I was gonna do the usual college joke, but So if you can 3D animate, what the fuck are you doing drawing?
I didn't get a job in it.
Why?
Nobody took me. I applied for places like ArenaNet, Blizzard, Digital Extreme for Warframe. We'll get back to Warframe in a bit too. I applied for Monolith, a couple of indie companies. I applied for Capcom because I've been a Capcom fan since I was a wee lad.
Oh hell yeah! Marvel versus the Capcom came out
versus
today.
Marvel.
That came out today, right? Yeah. Oh well.
I don't know.
Hey
believe
man,
so.
this episode might not come out on time because this Steam Deck verified too, and I'm like, oh no.
That's fine. I've been digging my heels in Space Marine. It's been hurting my work schedule a little.
My coworker was telling me about that, and then I play anime games, and he went, I don't know what that means, and I'm like, I'm gonna sit you down one day and explain to you.
Let me show you what this game called Melty Blood's all about.
No, I
Melty
don't
blood?
want to hurt him. You stop. Don't.
It's
Don't.
fine. You saw my portfolio. I have a Neko arc print.
Yeah, but he doesn't fighting game. He wouldn't get the lore or the jokes. I don't want to do that to him this early in the morning.
That's totally fine.
All right, chat. It's been 11 minutes. I'll stop teasing you now. How did you get into drawing titties and like big titties at that?
All right. So It's a very simple story, but it's one that I love telling. So, to keep it short and sweet so that the other topics don't get blown out, I was doing full-time school and a full-time job. I would go to class, and then when class was over, I would walk downstairs into the food court and work in the food court at my college. And then when my full-time shift was done at work, I would walk back to my car up a 45-degree angle hill for about 10 minutes to my car, of which then I would have to drive back down that hill and go home. And I would do it again every single day. And the reason why I was parked on that hill was because it was the only free parking in the area. And I did this for 2 years. I did not make enough money to pay for much. Due to the lack of money, I lived in a 200 square foot box that I couldn't even lay down flat in. It had no air conditioning, and it was sun facing. It had a single set of 3 windows, a desk that was built into the wall right next to the window, a closet that was built in, and a fridge, and a bathroom. And that was it. I had a community kitchen. That tiny space was $850 a month without the commodities, the electricity and so on.
Oh my god, that hurts. That hurts a lot.
And I was having to pay for that and college on a fast food job. So I didn't eat. I ate very little. I became so skinny that I was mostly bones because I was only eating the bare minimum I needed to not die. I was doing my best to make it into the video game industry, but when I found out that I just wasn't really doing okay, I tried to find secondary income. And at the time, Tumblr was much bigger and had not found its faith yet and was still allowing not safe for work content. And I was very big into Warframe at the time. So I knew there was a source filmmaker and not safe for work crowd for Warframe porn. And I said, okay, these designs are some of my favorites in video games these days. What if I started trying to draw stuff for Warframe to get a following so that I could start bringing in commissions? And so I did. I started drawing Warframe porn. And it actually brought in quite a few people that still follow me to this day and have followed me around wherever I go. Some of them are actually my friends now.
Love to see it.
Indeed. And what ended up happening was I became very well known for my Warframe smut. As a matter of fact, back in the old days of Tumblr, if you searched the tag Warframe not safe for work or Warframe porn, 1 to 5 of my pieces were always in the top 10.
That's awesome.
It's pretty fucking good.
I was pretty proud of that. To be fair, there was a lot of it, but not so much as other topics. Not so much as the hot topics. Plus, it was Tumblr. It wasn't really a crowd for most common folk. It was more of an internet space for internet people.
Yeah.
Well, I did start getting commissions from there. It was a secondary income, and it made me a decent amount of money. Well, I say decent, but I was a college student. I didn't know what people were willing to pay for art because I didn't know what people were willing to pay for art. So people would buy a commission from me for like $10, $15.
Oh, you're talking like nothing.
Yeah, and it would take me hours to do one. And I didn't do it digitally. I was still drawing traditionally. So I would draw a traditional piece of art and take a photo of it and send it to them.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I still have some of them. As a matter of fact, I think...
Hold on. You said you went to college.
Yes.
I'm going to assume you're not too much older than, I guess, Puce, because now Puce is now the oldest member. Was it not possible to just, like, when you finished, like, 2 or 3 commissions, just go to a school printer / scanner and just scan them in? Like how long ago are we talking?
We're not talking that long ago where there wasn't a scanner or a printer. But I wasn't going to bring porn into my school place because it was not that large. We had a IT guy stationed right next to the printer, And he monitored all the websites we went to, all the stuff we scanned, because those were technically assets to the school.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was gonna say you'd be one brave soul to use the school scanner for that kind.
I don't know, man. I'm shameless. I don't give a fuck.
No. My school environment was very, we'll say new age. And because of that new age taking on new policies at the time that were just rising in the US, I didn't want to potentially tread on that.
Okay, I get that.
That's fair.
But that aside, eventually I graduated and I went to a party where I met a friend of mine. I will not disclose her personal information, but I will refer to her as Crow because she made a wicked Crow cosplay once. She was wonderful, tiny. I think she was 4'10".
Very tiny.
And she was someone who was in the video game industry. Specifically, she was already an art director for a fairly well-known project. Again, I don't want to disclose her personal information, but she was leaving. She was going to be leaving the US, and so it was a going-away party. And naturally, I was kind of sad, but I also had many questions for her, being an art director and all. And I asked her, I need an income that isn't just doing 9 to 5 because I can't live out here until I get into the industry. I won't make it. But doing porn, I'm worried it will ruin my portfolio for going into video games because that's what I really wanted to do. What do I do? And she goes, Zach, come here, bend down. I can't reach your shoulder from up there. So I did. And she put a hand on my shoulder and she goes, nobody gives a shit. I've hired so many people with massive porn portfolios. In fact, I even look for it because that means they draw on their own time. Nobody cares. Every artist I've ever hired has drawn naked women, naked men before. And more than those, they've drawn sex. It doesn't hurt your portfolio. Don't let anybody tell you it does. Just do it. If it takes care of you, do it. I says, you're an enabler. And she goes, I know. And so, with friends like these, right? So fast forwarding a bit, after college, I never got hired. None of the jobs went through. None of my gigs went through. I worked on a small indie game called, what was the name of it? It released on Steam. I'll look for it here briefly while I'm finishing this story, but it was called something. I'll figure it out. The situation got dire when I switched jobs twice, ended up working at FedEx, and they fired me. I was screwed. I had no income, no job. I couldn't keep 9 to 5s. I was struggling. I didn't eat much. So I ended up having to go back home to Alaska. I felt like a failure, but I did still have my art. So when I got back to Alaska and went back to my parents, I just kept drawing. I kept doing commissions online. I moved to Twitter. At the time, I think I had 500 followers, but I was making it work. And long story short, I kept doing that. I kept working, and I kept doing it for so long. I think it's been, if I count the Tumblr years, I think I've been doing this for over 7 years, maybe 8 now.
Oh, nice.
And quite literally, thanks to my wife, I'm doing as well as I am now because she is not only one of my biggest fans, but she is also one of my biggest supporters, and she has helped me greatly in getting myself going. So I shout out to my wife. And now I'm where I'm at. That's how I got into doing titties. The big titties in particular was personal taste.
Okay.
Heck yeah.
I grew up on a game that I probably shouldn't have been playing in my younger years, being Corruption of Champions.
Oh yeah, Corruption of Champions. Love it.
Of which, shout out to Corruption of Champions, my art is now in.
Oh,
I thought
nice.
I'd seen your name mentioned there somewhere.
Yes, there is a single scene with my art in it, and I hope I'm allowed to say this, an upcoming update. There is a character coming out in that update where I have done practically I believe I've done every single piece of art for her that's going to be in game. I still have more to do, but
Oh,
All
hell
right.
yeah.
So
That's
okay.
awesome.
So side question. I've played this game once, like feels like a decade ago.
I want to say Corruption of Champions is pretty old.
I feel like it is. It
Yeah,
wasn't. It wasn't 10 years ago, but it just feels like that. Where the fuck do you actually play this game at?
Corruption of Champions, the original one, is available on Fenoxo's website, Fenoxo. Look that up and you'll find it easy. Corruption of Champions 2 is also playable on that same website, both for free, with downloadable versions if you wish, as well as Fenoxo's other game, which is Trials in Tainted Space, or TITS.
Not tried that one.
Yes, that one is the sci-fi themed one. However, if you want to get the up-to-date versions of COC2 and support the developers, which I do highly recommend, you can purchase it on Steam with Steam achievements included. I found the game, by the way. The one that I worked on was The Chaser's Voyage by Bright at Midnight. That's the publisher and developer.
Okay, we might have to look into that.
It's a small indie game. They poured a lot of their time into it, and they tried very hard to make it. It's not my kind of game, but I did the character art, and it shows that it was from back in my college days.
I'm like locked in right now, and I don't want to mess with any of my wires, so I'm gonna just take your word for it. The
It's totally
future
fine.
me is gonna have to like go pause and look stuff up.
Totally fine.
Puce, you ask an art question, please, while I think of how to phrase my next question.
I got distracted by all the different comments. But so you like big boobs, obviously.
Yes. Yes, I like Marika's tits.
You like what?
It's an Elden Ring joke,
Right.
don't worry.
I was gonna say I got the joke, and I haven't even played the game. Well, I haven't played the DLC. Say that.
Okay.
That's fine.
So, how big do you like 'em?
Wow, that's an interesting question. So, in real life or in art?
Yes.
Okay. In real life, my wife's are my favorite, honestly. I don't really care one way or the
Fair
other.
and respectable answer.
I don't really care one way or the other.
That
In real
doesn't
life,
help me.
in real life, I don't really care one way or the other. I like women in general.
Yeah, in real life, boobs of all sizes are appreciated.
Yes. In art, however, I do like them big. I think it's impossible to truly convey a cup size in art because art is full of exaggerations, very minor mistakes, or hell, even if one time I flick my wrist in a certain way and the size is bigger than I intended, but I just love the shape way too much, so I just don't want to reduce them, so I just make them that size. It happens all the time. I enjoy them on the larger side. I would say that a better way to measure it is how big they are
I
to
was
the
gonna
body.
say compared to object or body. Yeah.
I usually measure it by the body since the body is measured
that
in
is
heads. I
Oh, true.
usually shoot for, on average, if I am given the choice to pick a size for the character, I will shoot for somewhere around just under or just over, anywhere in between those two, of a singular head size. That is my norm.
That
That's fair.
doesn't help me because I have a big head. So
Then imagine
like-
big titties.
Oh, okay. Well, I have a follow up to what Puce asked because one of his friends is following you, and I don't know if you pay attention to her because she does the whole inflation thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what's your friend's name? Mads.
Oh,
Mads
Mads.
Stack.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mads
like
is
oh,
sick.
like that size.
Yeah, I've done that size before. That's
Okay, that
not a
that
preferred
helps me
size.
visualize.
Yeah, that's not a preferred size for me, but I've done that before.
Also like as a like totally aside thing, a lot of our friends are following you, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well,
Because like we've had people on this show who follow you, and I'm like, what's happening?
that's very flattering, and I'm very happy that they do. I just hope that they enjoy what I make, but That's awesome to hear.
What the list doesn't stop?
That means we're getting a larger circle.
Is it? Does it? I don't. I'm scared. I'm just scared now.
It's totally fine. I'm just a guy from Alaska who likes drawing for a living.
I can't draw, but like, and I'm not from Alaska, but same.
Same.
Listen, I'm still getting there. I'm ready to pass out, but I can't. I gotta be on, and this being on shit sucks sometimes.
It's fine.
Okay, because I have your book behind me. Puce has no idea what the fuck is in this book. I'm like 90%
I know it's a
sure.
book, and I assume it's big boobs.
No, well, yes, but no.
There's a bit more than big tits in there, and yes, it does have those.
Are we talking like book, or are we talking like an art book, or are we talking like? Okay.
Because I am literally under the impression I said I had a guess, and you went, I don't care who it is, okay. And then you went, wait, I know that name, and then went, nah, he didn't do that. That's what I feel like you did.
Well, I've never interacted with him before, so I was like, well, I know the name, and I know I've interacted with him a couple times, but never like a lot.
Now you have.
That's fair. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about your world? Question mark?
Yep. The story is one that I've been working on for about, I think it's 11 years now. It is a very, very big passion project, tentatively given a name, which I suppose I can divulge. It's tentatively called the Feral Kiln, is the name of the story.
Okay.
So, since this is the Lusty Lounge podcast, I will try to keep the topics that I speak about when it comes to the story more on the sex side of things for the story.
Oh, it doesn't matter. We've talked about Mountain Dew before.
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
No, I've said things about that.
Our tangents go off the hinges of topics that aren't even closely related to whatever we're talking about.
Okay.
So you talk about whatever you want.
Okay. That does make things easier. Because I lined up all of the stories I have that have sex happen or sex parts of the story or the lore ready to go. Like, I have several stories. I have Feral Kiln, Starhammer, and Bounce Brigade. In the case of Feral Kiln, which is the book that you've seen in the form of Desert Flowers, which was the very first book I have ever made. Again, shout-outs to my wife. She did all of the editing and all of the prep for that book.
Oh.
I just did the art and the writing, and she made it look pretty.
Jealous.
Heck yeah. Teamwork.
What's that like?
I wouldn't be here without her. Anyway, but in the case of Feral Kiln, the whole story revolves around a main character who I refer to as boy, but he is of age. I just use the term boy because he's young. And I'm an old man now.
You're like 30 something.
Yeah, I can feel the dust gathering on my bones. Anyway.
No.
I'm joking. But it follows a boy named Balto, of which the story in a small synopsis, which I still am working on how best to say, is the story of Balto trying to survive in a world that hates him, that wants him gone. Along the way, he meets a few people who will take him in. That's what the story is about. And with that in mind, this story took a myriad of shapes. For instance, when I first started making it, all it was a boy in a village with a girl he liked with superpowers. That was it. That's how it started. It took shape even before that, when I was in middle school, drawing stick figure comics of Dragon Ball Z character OCs.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it took on many forms, many shapes. I kept undoing it, redoing it as my interests changed, as I learned more, as I read more, as I experienced more anime, video games, and manga, and read books. Well, audiobooks. I don't read. But I experienced more and more. And it wasn't until I was 14, 15 years old that I stumbled upon Berserk because of Demon's Souls, the video game.
Oh, pain.
And Berserk, as well as the Souls franchise of video games, completely changed my perspective on how writing could be. It was those games that made me finally realize, combined with Berserk, that subtlety was strong if done right. That interpersonal characters and relationships were very interesting if done right. In Dragon Ball Z, the action is very fun. But in Berserk, and in Demon's Souls, and in all of the Souls games after, characters are quiet, soft-spoken, but what they say has weight, meaning. The ramblings of a man gone half insane is valuable information because they won't say much else. And even if you don't see it in what they're saying, the environment could tell you why they are saying what they're saying. It could be a warning, it could be ravings, but there's something there. No character talks without a purpose. And Berserk was the final push for me to upend everything I'd ever written in the form of what is referred to as the shonen genre of manga. In the case of things like Naruto and Dragon Ball Z, those are considered shonen. I started pivoting, aiming towards more of a seinen feel, which is things like Berserk or Police Force 47, where it's focused more on a age group of 17, 18 to like 30, 40-year-old adults. It's a story focused more on adult, not so much topics, but target audience. And
Okay.
I still keep things I love in the story. I still love that high-octane, explosive beatdown from things like Dragon Ball Z. Like, I can't stress enough how much Goku and Frieza did some damage to my brain. I just love...
It did damage to all of our brains.
Yeah.
I love that power-up scene. It's so strong. There's never been a better one than Frieza and Goku, if you ask me. That was years in the making. In the case of the Feral Kiln, my goal now is to just tell Balto's story, whatever that entails, as opposed to previously where I was doing a kind of forever power-scaling conflict. Now I have an entire world I've written, and I'm still working on it. But that world is now its own character in Balto's story, and even the world itself doesn't want Balto there. And that helps. It helps a lot with writing it. On the note of something more towards my job, the way I treat sex in my writing, because I do believe that that's something that I can talk about. Sex happens in real life. People exist because we kept having sex. So the way I try to treat sex in my writing is if I treat it with respect and make it feel human is the word I will use. But what I mean by human is that it feels natural, like it belongs there, like it makes sense, like it's not forced. Then it can be also accepted by the reader. It can be accepted as a normalcy in the world. This is one of the more fringe or possibly unsavory topics, or unsavory, subjects of the story.
You had it right with topics.
Yes, of the story when it comes to the lore. But, for example, Balto is a species that I've created that I've called Igdarians. Igdarian is spelled like Yggdrasil, which is the Norse tree of life, or world tree. Igdarians as a species, for example, have a very, 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 very low birth rate. 1 in every 100 attempts at sex leads to conception, and they do have a mating season that lasts about 2 months. That mating season only boosts that chance to about a 1 in 50. It's not very often that they have children, and they live very long lives. So they try to prepare for when they're young, come of age, so that they can immediately get started on trying to continue having more children. In the case of characters like Balto, for example, the story begins when he has hit the designation that Igdarians have for breeding. This is juvenile. Maturity is when they've reached their full-grown size and height, and from there, they usually don't change much as they age. Igdarians, by the way, are animal people for the people who can't see or have never seen my work, that I've designed to be the way I like them. I always thought that cat girls and so on were nice, but I thought they didn't lean hard enough into the animal side of things, so I pushed that a little bit more. Mm-hmm. I still keep as much of the human aspect as I can, but I like them to be a little bit more fantastic, because, I mean, it's cute when a girl has little animal ears on her head, but I want a little bit more of that animal in there to really define them as something different. And in the case of this, the Igdarians refer to their young as whatever aspect of animal they have. So, for example, Balto, being a wolf, would have been a pup when he was young, until he reaches juvenile. And then at juvenile, they don't refer to him as a pup anymore. If they were an ox or a bison, they would be referred to as a calf. If they are a fox, they would be referred to as kit or pup as well. And so on.
Okay.
Once they reach their juvenile age, or just before they start to hit that age group, the family, be it the mother or the father or the sister or the brother or so on, implements a kind of game with the sibling where they will wrestle, they will play, they will fight, and the winner ends up being the top for what is now a lesson in mating, because most of the time Igdarians end up having to fight in order to get their mate. The case here is that there's a twist. Igdarians cannot, as a possible biological failsafe, have conception with their siblings. It is impossible. Anybody they're blood related to, can't happen. This is part of why they are taught how to do this before they end up going out to find a mate in general, because otherwise they might not be ready for it. This is something about how I mean when I treat it with a level of respect, because this is a fringe topic. This is a kind of incest thing, but it is something that I aimed to write into this to be as clearly a part of them as a species and how they function socially. It is not a requirement, but it is something that they do in order to prepare their young for when they are now going to be adults and essentially put on the market for finding a mate.
Got you. I am going to stop you right there. So, initially, because this is how I know my friend listens to the podcast, which made me super uncomfortable. We were at your booth. Y'all were talking. I'm not gonna lie, I was not paying attention. I was letting her do her thing. And I don't remember if it was you or if it was my friend. They were like, so yeah, the mom and daughter have sex. And I immediately stepped back. I was like, all right, I'm here. What are we talking about? I'm awake. You have called for me. What's up? What's going on?
You're an Ayakodon lover, I see.
Yeah, I am. Specifically just the mom and the daughter. When there's another dude, I'm like, get out of here, nerd.
Nah, totally fine.
That's the whole reason we got here, because my whole brain went, talk to this man right now. He likes something that you like that is not super common. Well, it's becoming common, which good, but I don't want to be gatekeepy, but I'm like, you know what? As long as the art's good, I don't care.
That is literally what I just talked about. Yes, that does happen.
Why the fuck? No, two questions. Why the fuck are his hands so big?
You ever had a big dog in your life or seen a big dog before?
Define big dog, because my friend has a big dog.
Huskies
Kinda.
are pretty big, but they're not the biggest. Akitas, even Great Danes,
Chihuahuas.
Mastiffs, Alaskan Malamutes.
All right, okay. Y'all are doing the white people thing. I don't. You lost me. You lost me. I don't.
You know, crap. My brain went right out the window. The movie with the big dogs that are,
You're not helping.
yeah, my brain
Wait.
erased what I was trying to talk about.
Wait.
Let me-
are boss stiffs like the big dog in Pokemon, like that? The new Pokemon? If anyone played the new Pokemon game,
Sure.
I'm unaware.
that
But
Dogs
fair-
that
fair
come
enough.
up to your hip.
I will elaborate. I only brought that up so that I could give you an example. But if you're unfamiliar, the reason why Balto's hands are gigantic is because young pups of larger dog breeds have paws that are far too big for their body, but they grow into them.
Oh.
And the story
Oh,
starts
no,
with
I'm
Balto having
scared.
just hit juvenile age, so his hands are still very big for his body.
Okay, that makes sense. Even based on your lore and your logic, yes, that makes sense. I get it. I fuck with it. Why does he have a human-looking dick?
Because I prefer that.
Fair enough. Okay. I can't argue with that.
There is lore reasons for it, but the true reality is I prefer it.
Nothing wrong
Well,
with
thank you
pulling
for
the
just
God
giving
card.
us the real answer.
Yeah, just that God said something like, that you got me. All right, fair enough.
But yes, that is that part of the story. And there is a lot more. Other cultures have different sexual practices. That's just one of several. Mind you, in the story, these don't really come up. They're not something that is addressed or explained. This is mostly background for how characters act and treat each other, so that I have a groundwork for how their relationships begin and how they view each other.
Damn, you when you said Dark Souls and Berserk, yeah, you meant that, because like I could see it like happening in the background. It's like, oh yeah, that's just lore stuff. It's like the Attack on Titan thing where the Pews help me, where the Titans
I
reveal
don't know
themselves.
Attack on Titan.
God damn it, why are you like this? You read everything but the shit I need you to read.
I know what you're referring to, though. I
Thank
have
you.
kept up
When
with it.
the two important Titans just said who they were in the background, and when everyone went, wait, what?
Yep.
So I'm assuming it's kind of like that, but like even more subtle.
Yes. So here's an example from what I mean. There is a desert empire which you know about because you have desert flowers. You've
Yes.
If you've read it, you would actually know a little bit about it already.
I read it like 20 minutes before we started, because I'm like, why is this creased? And I'm like, oh, all of my friends got to use it before me, and I'm like, I hate all of you. Like, the second we got out of the door, she literally took the book from me and was just reading it in the pen, and I'm like, bruh, I literally just bought that book.
I really hope she enjoyed it.
She did.
I'm glad. But in the case of that place, it's a desert empire referred to as Chosun is the name of the place. And in Chosun, it is run by their goddess, their empress, which is, in my works, her name is Atsuko. And Atsuko is the very blonde, very pale fennec fox woman that is on both the front cover of Desert Flowers and also throughout the book you see her a few times. The entire empire of Chosun is made by her. She made an oasis and people flocked to it, her own species included. The point I want to get to is that I love making really cool things that people can dig into and like peel apart, find layers and layers and layers of story and lore and so on, even if they're never elaborated on. So Chosun actually has one day a year, a holiday. The holiday is a two-parter. It is the March of the Kami, which is based on the March of the Oni or the March of the Demons, Parade of the Demons from Japanese mythology, where in Japanese mythology, I don't know perfectly what it is, but from my understanding, it is a day where everyone either goes outside or stays inside. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but there is this belief that there is a march of demons through their streets, spirits through their streets, and it's usually a good time, from my understanding of the celebration anyway. So I liked that idea, and my wife is actually the reason this exists in story, because she helps me write the lore as well. The March of the Kami is a march of all the Igdarians that live in Chosen down the streets all the way to the Empress's palace. They are dressed to the nines in their most beautiful kimonos, masks, and so on, and all of her human subjects gather along the streets to watch this massive parade. They join in, they drink, they eat. It's a fun time. They believe that it's a meeting of the Kami with their goddess to do something. They just know that it's a grand event. And when they all arrive at the palace, the gates are shut and no mortal is allowed inside. Inside the temple, however, inside her palace, it is a feast to the nines. Any drink or food you want to have, just down it. And when all the feasting and all the drinking is done, it is an enormous, full-scale, palace-wide orgy.
There it is. That's what I was waiting for.
Mm-hmm. It shifts from March of the Kami, which is the day and night, to a period where it is now referred to as Night of the Howling Palace, because it's just loud. The reason this day exists is twofold. The logic side is Atsuko's doing. She turned this into a holiday to incentivize that the foxes that live in Chosen breed. Much like how I mentioned previously that families will teach their young how to, once they're nearly of age, how to mate, they also find ways to incentivize it because Igdarians are nearly extinct when the story begins. In this case, Atsuko is incentivizing that they still have young. However, there is a funny reason for why this holiday exists. When the Empire was fresh, she is visited by what in their culture is called a nole. A nole is somebody who sleeps around, bed bounces. They're not loyal to their mate. This nole goes by the name of Den. Den is Atsuko's baby daddy.
Oh.
However, he is loyal to her. He just doesn't stay home. He's a wanderer by nature, so he roams around a lot. However, the night that she finally let him lay claim to her as a mate and she accepted that claim, the entire empire heard her. Out of embarrassment and shame, she did not hide what happened. Instead, she covered it up by making it into a holiday.
Listen, that's just a smart politician.
Yes. She did not cover up what happened. She simply turned it into a holiday and marked it as the day that is the night of the conception of her daughter, which is Princess Haruko.
So, another follow-up question, because I'm remembering more of the conversation from 2 weeks ago. Jesus Christ, that was 2 weeks ago. Why does the daughter look more human?
That is lore specific. In the case of the mother and the daughter and their father, they are a specific type of Igdarian that has the ability of true shapeshifting. They can shift freely from fully a fox to even nearly fully human.
That's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, am I a furry now? Is this what finally gets me? Not Pokemon, not Yu-Gi-Oh, not Digimon.
If I'm the one who gets you into it, then that just means I've done my job right.
Yeah, it does. Puce, you asked a question. I forgot you were here.
Oh, I've been enjoying listening to the storytelling. Definitely makes me want to buy your books now.
Well,
I appreciate that.
Kind of shit out of luck. I got the last one.
Well, I might print more. Those don't sell very often, but they do sell to some people who are interested.
Well, when you said you have a whole world, I'm like, well, give me the book and let me learn about it. And then I did. And now I have to go through your subscribe star, that one, and just that's what I should have done. But I'm still poor from the convention. I don't get paid till tomorrow. Well, this comes out. I'll be paid by now, so I'm gonna have to look at that.
What'd your wife think about you drawing big boobs?
It's why we're married.
Oh, wait. I have the answer. Hold on. Wait. Okay. This book is dedicated to my beautiful and supportive wife who saw the potential in a crazy nerd who put huge tits on every page he could get, who he could get his hands on. I love you. That's not what that says. Thank you, hun, for believing in me. That should give you an idea of what she thinks.
Well, that's awesome to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I may have had a singular drink before recording to make sure I was awake, so I might be a little energetic randomly.
That's all right.
No, it's not. I was told day drinking is bad. I got scolded by I don't know what to call her.
So she does approve of the big boobas?
Yes. I will admit, it was a little bit of a learning curve as we were in a relationship, but when we initially met, we met by playing Monster Hunter online. And
can we be friends? Are you gonna get wild? Hold on. Are you gonna get a wilds?
Yes, I am.
What are you getting it on?
PC.
All right, we're gonna have to play Peels once you get Rise. Once we get you familiar with Rise, we're gonna have to all play together.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't meet too many other Monster Hunter fans.
That's totally fine. Whenever somebody comes by and they buy the stickers or the prints of Hinoa and Minoto, I immediately point them out and go, "Yeah, you know."
Yeah. That's how you got me. That and Ronnie. I'm like, hey, yo, wait, what's going on over here?
Yeah, I need to make larger prints of them. But yes, we met on Monster Hunter, and the two things that she told me made her interested in me as a person was how good I was playing with a longsword. At the time, we were a little bit sweaty with the game, and we were playing with damage trackers because I was a fan of always improving. I even am that way with my art. I just always want to improve. I always want to do better. Always pushing for doing better, even if it's just a little. And I take it as a personal failure if I'm not performing close to or above my norm. So I was keeping up with one of their best damage dealers in their group of friends. And one of them was drinking. Just a lot. And let me back up, because it's a funny story, actually.
Go for it.
We were fighting a monster, a buddy of mine and I, that I had already beaten. But no matter how hard I tried, I could not help him get through it. I could not. I told him, all right, we keep losing this hunt. I am going to fire an SOS flare to get someone random to join us. And he said, don't do that. I don't want to play with randoms. Don't do that. And I said, fuck you. I don't care. And I fired it. And I told him someone might not even join. And even if they did, and we lose, we have been losing on our own anyway. The person who comes in, I will simply call Law. That's what we call him. Law comes in, he's playing Gunlance, and he keeps up with my damage and even surpasses it. And I'm like, I've never seen a Gunlance player do that. That's insane. I've never seen somebody perform that well with a Gunlance. Holy hell. And I messaged him, and we won pretty easily. I messaged him, I was like, dude, you're the best Gunlance player I've ever seen in my life. Can we be friends? And he goes, yeah, sure. Can we hunt some more? He goes, yeah, sure. So we played. And fast forward a few months, Alatreon came out, and I couldn't beat him. I always broke his horns, but I could never beat him. I was like, man, do I suck? Am I awful? Am I actually a bad player? What's going on? Law pops online one day, and I say, Law, thank God you're here. I need your help. And he goes, nah, man, sorry. I live in Hawaii, so I'm about to go to bed. I was like, no! And he goes, well, I have a couple of friends who already have him pretty much dead to rights all the time. I'll ask them if you can join their server if you want, and maybe they can help you. I said, sure, that'd be great. They gave permission. He gives me an invite. I come in, and they do have him on farm, on rotation. Super easy kill. So I come in. They let me in. One of them is drunk as hell, just giggling her ass off. The other two are just chatting and laughing, and I take Law's place because he was going to bed. So we play for a while, and the drunk one goes, "Guys, I should have stopped 3 shots ago. I need to go lay down. Somebody else can take my spot." And who joins in but the owner of the server, which is my now wife. While we're playing, one guy, their star player that everybody wanted to hang out with, goes, "So, Vark, what do you do for a living?" Because I was new to the server. He didn't know. And he asked me that question without missing a beat. I go, "Oh, I'm a porn artist." And he pauses and goes, I'm sorry? I said, "Let me say that clear. I'm a porn artist. I draw porn for a living." And he goes, "Oh." And then he's quiet for the rest of the day. But my wife messages me privately in a DM and goes, "Hey, can I see some of your art?" I thought she wanted some art from me as a commission. So I treated it like business, and I talked to her super formally, like, "Oh, yes, of course, you can see my art. Here you are." And I was giving her the customer service spiel. And I sent her some works, and she goes, "Oh, you're good." And I said, "Well, thank you." And fast forward a few more months, and she messages me out of the blue. And I think that she's trying to schmooze me up to get free art, because I've had many, many girls come to me and try to get free art out of me. And instead, she asks, "Do you want to play some Monster Hunter together?" I was working on a tough commission at the time, so I just look at it. I look at her message. I put the pen down and I say, "Sure."
Smart.
And then we played for about 2, maybe 3 hours, and we talked for the other 8.
Oh.
That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. She would later tell me that the 2 things that got her interested in me was how good I was at Monster Hunter, because she really, really, really likes Monster Hunter, and meeting somebody who was very good at it, but also very chipper about it, was refreshing. And 2, it was not only the confidence in how I said it, but also that I was a porn artist. She's like, "Oh, I have to know more about this guy."
All right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, met a guy in Hawaii randomly by total happenstance because I said "fuck it" to my friend, and because of that, I met my wife.
That's wild. That is what's a good what a Rube Goldberg machines type worth of events. Someone will understand what the fuck I tried to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Marble
Oh,
fell,
damn.
hit some
You said the word,
dominoes.
right?
The dominoes knocked a banana off of a string, and it bumped a bowling ball, and the bowling ball rolled down into a cup of water, and so on.
Yep. Damn. Based off how you've been speaking and the fact you're making a whole story, I'm like, well, yeah, you're smart. It's more the fact Puce understood it confidently, and I'm like, oh, damn, I guess.
The Rube Goldberg thing?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I learned about those because of I Spy.
Oh, so, okay. See, you're I Spy. I'm Tom and Jerry.
I'm Wallace and Gromit.
So
That's
you're,
fair.
You're
That's
only
also
like
fair.
4 years older than me.
See, I'm glad I asked about that because that was a good story.
I'm glad.
Yeah, that was a very that took some twists and turns I was not expecting.
Well, hilarious enough, because we met that way. When we have kids, I'm going to tell them that I met your mother fighting a dragon.
As you
I was gonna
should,
say, probably good idea to leave out the porn.
until they're older.
Mm-hmm.
You did say you do this full time now?
Yes, this is my one and only job.
Okay, so I won't ask the money question, but how long have you been able to do this full time?
Honestly, for a while there, it wasn't making enough money for me to support myself or pay my own bills. That's why I lived with my family. And again, I can't thank my wife enough. She, as the thank you at the beginning of the Book of Desert Flowers mentions, she believed in me. And she also had connections and friends that were also doing the same thing as me. Shout out to a friend of mine, Soretta Designs. She is fantastic. She gave me a bunch of advice on how I should price my commissions, how to price my prints, and so on. All of my money comes from commissions, all of it. The prints is something I do for fun because I like conventions and I like talking about other artists' work, my work. I do voice acting as well. I like talking to voice actors. I just like meeting people. I'm extroverted as hell. But in the case of the time frame that I've been able to do this, I would say I have only truly been able to say that I can make a living off of my art since 2021, I want to say. Roughly around 6 months after meeting my wife, I was able to start making a living off of it a little bit. And I've been comfortably making a living off of it since 2023. Easily, I've been making a comfortable living off of it.
That's always good to hear. I'm always happy when people turn their hobby into a full-time job.
Mm-hmm. I don't work a day in my life.
As long as you don't get burnt out. Based off that tells me that is not really a thing for you.
Mm-mm. If I'm burnt out of commissions, I draw for myself. If I feel like drawing something specific, I throw up a surprise commission discount where I say, hey, 10% off if you order exactly this specific thing because I'm in the mood to draw this.
No, that's fair.
So speaking on commissions, is there what sort of thing is off limits for you?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things that are off limits for me that I don't mention because the list is quite extensive, but I almost never get requests for them, so I don't typically include them in the list. But things that are a hard no that I have been requested before for are things like diapers and bodily fluids beyond what is expected for sex. I will not do blood unless it is minor or in a gentler way. I will not do gore unless the piece itself is not sexual.
Okay.
I do not...
So you do both NSFW and SFW?
Yes, I do. I mean, the case in point is the fact that I write these stories. I actually also offer writing stories for clients. I have 4 clients that I've written entire stories for and around for characters that they have given me, and I even designed their characters for them.
Dang, you are a man of many talents at this point.
Thank you. Is it time for me to mention that I've also played violin for 9 years? I have other things that I could mention too, but they're not important to my art career. They're just things I like doing.
Sounds like you are a pro at Monster Hunter, so you've already mentioned that though.
Yes.
Can use him to carry us. It'd be great.
Well, I'm a little rusty, and lately, the way I play Monster Hunter now, to give it a little bit of extra flair while I wait for Wilds, is I play with modded movesets. Minor changes to some, major changes to others. Weapons that I never liked playing, I now do like playing, thanks to the modding community.
Okay.
But
see, you're still like doing it as a sane person. I tried playing it on an arcade stick, and I'm like, this is hard. Doable, but damn, this is hard.
You sound like Capcom executives when they tried to make the Wiimote and Nunchuck work for Monster Hunter Tri.
Listen. I saw the vision. The execution just was not there.
Mm-hmm. This is why I got the Pro Controller.
Yeah. Listen, they learned, and well, sorta, because the Switch, you can do the 2 Joy-Con. I'm like, never do that. No.
Mm-hmm. I suppose since it was brought up a few times, I will mention, I am no elitist when it comes to Monster Hunter. I simply care about my own performance a lot. If other people want to play with comfort skills or play for fun, I don't judge. I just try to have my fun, and my fun is usually being as strong as I can possibly make myself, as skilled as I can possibly get. I am rusty these days because I haven't been dedicating the time like I used to, because my passion is my art, and usually when I'm playing video games, I'm thinking about art. But Longsword, if anybody wanted to know, is the weapon that I am most comfortable with. Before that, it was Sword and Shield and Greatsword. I like my longer weapons, and I like my big numbers.
Okay, but like Switch Axe and Charge Blade.
I don't like those Swiss Army knife weapons. They're too complicated. They have too many options. I just like my one big hit.
They're not complicated. Well, at least the Charge Blade is, and that's I can use it, so anyone can use it.
Yes.
Insect Glaive players, I'm like, bro, this isn't a fighting game. Please stop.
On that note, actually, I have played every single Monster Hunter title in the mainline franchise, including the while it was still online anyway. I also played Monster Hunter Frontier, which was the Japanese-only MMO version of the game.
Hey man, God bless your soul, cause I've seen old Monster Hunter, and I'm like, that ain't it. How did we get to where we got? Cause that ain't it.
Actually, as much as you say, how did we get where we got? That ain't it. That is it. That's what got me into it. The the feeling of running around and collecting items. So, actually, fun fact. I do know a dude at Capcom. He is friendly. We don't talk very often because he's very busy, but
Yeah.
we have talked, and one of the best things that I've ever learned from him in terms of my fun knowledge is about their design philosophy behind Monster Hunter as they were making it. And they originally were making it as an online game purely to sell the PlayStation 2's online functionality. It was made alongside, I believe it was 2 other games. One of them was Resident Evil Outbreak.
Oh.
They were commissioned by Sony to make these games because they needed something to sell their online functionality. The other one was going to be Monster Hunter, but at the time it was going to be a Resident Evil-like game, but the focus was on co-op. They wanted to make it where you were out in a fantasy world hunting and fighting monsters, and their goal was to make it to where no matter how you played, you could still be useful. They wanted it to be where instead of having to be super skilled or super effective at fighting, you could go out and fish, collect mushrooms, herbs, plants. You could kill small monsters and collect their teeth or claws, make bullets, and then give them to your allies who are hunting the monster. You could collect potions and give them to your allies. They wanted useful things to be everything you could do. So they made it hard. They made it difficult. They made it grindy. So that you had to collect herbs, you had to collect blue mushrooms, you had to cook steaks, so that players could do whatever they wanted and still be useful. But the game kept shifting, and it kept changing directions. A relic of when it was going to be more horror-focused, where you were hunting more terrifying monsters, is a monster that's still in the game to this day, Kezu. Kezu is a relic of when the game wasn't really certain of where it was going to go and still had a bit of that Resident Evil horror flair. Another thing, they used to have goblins. Not shakalaka like what we have now, the little green guys, or gajalaka. They had straight up goblins that would ambush you by jumping from trees and attack you with weapons made of scrap metal. The game was also far more like Berserk. And funny enough, one of the most popular concept art pieces of Monster Hunter around the office is a hunter and his companion running from a room that they had just smoke bombed, and the monster coming out of it is just Zod from Berserk. Because yes, Berserk is a manga for artists, and artists love Berserk.
True.
So yeah,
Very true.
Monster Hunter didn't take shape into what it is until many iterations, where they figured out that people liked hunting the monster more than gathering supplies. So they've been making that less of the focus.
I never thought in the year of our Lord, 2024, I would have gotten like an insider peek at the history of Monster Hunter from a porn artist.
Hey, what can I say? The Xenoblade
It's all about
Chronicles.
the people you know.
The Xenoblade Chronicles character artist is also a very prolific hentai artist.
I'm aware. Oh, I'm well aware. I've got all 3 of the Xenoblade art books on my bookshelf.
Mm-hmm.
I like Xenoblade a lot.
Yeah, it's not a bad franchise. When I saw that, I just laughed because I always thought that porn had ruined my career, but here we have Valkyria Chronicles, Senran Kagura.
Let's not with Senran Kagura. I just want a final game and for the franchise to die.
Well,
Oh, no.
we'll see one day.
Sad. I don't think so. They're just gonna focus on the mobile game and that's it. And merchandise. I have a figure of the one character I care about, and that's it. I'm good. I'm content.
We'll go into. We might go into that more on like personal talks if you want to keep chatting
Sure.
afterwards.
I'll be honest, maybe not today, but definitely another time. Cause is starting to hit.
I
You gotta
understand.
talk more.
I was gonna say, are you ready for last call?
Um, no, I can keep going a little bit,
All
but
right,
it's
that's up to you.
coming. I can feel it. I was gonna say, have you inspired any of your characters based off Monster Hunter monsters?
Well, yes and no. Monster Hunter has inspired practically everything I do when it comes to creature design, due to how Monster Hunter took the fantastic and made it biological. What I mean by that is that they took things like a dragon and they explained in a reasonable and understandable way the way that a biologist would describe how an animal functions. They've explained how monsters have body parts that allow them to breathe fire rather than them just being able to do it. Because they went into such an organic way of doing this including the mechanic of carving the part off the monster in order to make things from it, I've done that with a lot of the creature designs that I do from now on. And I now have a distinction. Specifically in Feral Kiln, I have a distinction between animals and monsters. Monsters and animals operate very differently. There is a cold weather, furry T-Rex type monster called a Terror Maw. That one is an animal. Then I have creatures that are beyond understanding, very H.P. Lovecraft, because I love my Eldritch horrors, I love Bloodborne. These creatures are referred to as veiled beasts, because they are creatures from beyond the veil of what we can perceive. These creatures don't have to follow that biological logic. They can be as strange and wild as I want them to be because they don't have to follow the rules. I have creatures that follow rules so that when the creatures that don't show up, they have that much more of an impact.
Totally
Okay.
makes sense.
But Monster Hunter is the reason why all of my creatures and my animals and my setting have a very tactile feel of being real.
That's definitely a different way to take things from inspiration. I like it.
If you want, I have plenty of other talking points I didn't touch.
Give me the fourth one.
A sci-fi story I've been working on, which is Starhammer. I will, since we're getting near the end, I will simply talk about the talking point and not elaborate too much on Starhammer as a whole. How do I start this? In Starhammer, there is a cult called the Daughters of the Drifting Mother. The cult itself is based around a strange temple that is on a long-distant planet from Earth itself. It is a temple that has been here for a very long time, as a city was built up in this place, and the governors of this city on this tiny little red dust rock. Not much of a planet, really. Never terraformed, just there. This towering cathedral was refurbished by, strangely, just women. Women were drawn to this place almost exclusively. And, as a matter of fact, the city has a curfew for women to try to keep them all from flocking to this place. Any of the daughters, they refer to themselves as, that you speak to, will refer to a kind of call, a draw, some kind of whisper that draws them to this temple. And it's been entirely repaired, refurbished. It looks gorgeous, immaculate. It's beautiful now. But for anybody who's allowed into the inner sanctum, the deep hall, they will find that something very strange is happening here. More specifically, the strange thing that's happening is that on their stained glass window, there is something unnatural. The red dust moon rotates a star, a yellow star much like ours. However, when the star itself hits just right in the temple, it goes through a stained glass window that was never destroyed, never demolished, even though this planet has been here for a very long time. That window has a perfect circle that matches the sun exactly. And when the planet's rotation at a certain time at night hits that sun, the sun leaves, but the light behind that stained glass circle stays, and it shifts to a red. The sun is still moving outside the temple, but the inside of the temple gets dark, and that red dot starts to bleed. They take a chalice, and they fill the chalice with the blood whenever it drips out, and then that light fades. A ritual for those who have served the Church of the Drifting Mother vehemently, with their entire being, with everything they are. They are offered by what is called the leading mother a chance to drink from the chalice, to drink their mother's blood. When they do, they are granted boons. These boons, air quotes, are simply that they turn more and more milfy, is the horny way to put it. But the reality of what's actually happening is that they're coming more and more under the influence of a weeping elder god that seeks her lover once more. The drifting mother is a half of an elder god that is the source of something truly terrible in the universe. But ever since her lover had vanished due to an unknown event, he has been referred to as the Lost Father. The Lost Father is adrift and dormant, and it is the purpose of those leading mothers and those blessed by the blood of the drifting mother to call him back. And if enough of these women drink and partake of the drifting mother's blood, they will all be the wives of the Lost Father as he finally wakes up to the siren's call of thousands of women begging him to come home. And when he does, there will be a problem. But until then, they bring people into the cult by offering them pleasures of the body that they are offered as boons from the drifting mother herself. They are one of the most popular religious sects for men specifically, but a lot of people try to stay away from them because, frankly, a bunch of sex-obsessed space nuns walking around the street offering tit jobs to people is a little creepy and kind of sus.
You've got me sold on the story.
I was going to say we've got sci-fi. You threw in Made in Abyss in there real quick, and I'm like, how did he do that? We got cults, we got titties. I'm interested, but I'm scared because I'm like, that sounds like Made in Abyss, and Made in Abyss is scary.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't care what you say. I don't give a fuck what you say. That shit's scary.
This is what I mean by I like treating sex in my stories as if it's normal, as if it's something that's supposed to be there. I treat it with respect. I try to write it in so that it makes sense. Is the sex there for a reason? Why? If it's just to be sex because I as a writer want it there, I failed as a writer. I don't want it to be there just because I want it. I want it to be there and be something that makes sense. So in Starhammer, that cult almost never comes into play. Almost never. It exists, it's in the background, people talk about it, but the main character has no interest in that because the main character is an old soldier who has outlived his entire family.
What the fuck? We took a turn.
The only reason he engages with the cult of the Drifting Mother is because a girl that he takes into his life by total happenstance ends up becoming curious about it, and he has to dive into that world for a moment to pull her out.
All right, so when can I buy this book?
Well,
yeah, that's my question.
Starhammer is something that I've been working on for... I think I started Starhammer when I got into college. So about... goddamn, how long ago was it? I don't even remember at this point. I'd have to double check my diploma to see the year I graduated.
Jesus Christ.
I'm bad with dates, but Starhammer is a setting that I've been making because of my love of sci-fi. And it was made in part due to things that I love as well, like Doom, The Last of Us, and still Bloodborne and Berserk. But Last of Us 1 made such an impact on me when I was younger that I will always hold that game up as one of the best isolated stories of finding hope in a dark place.
Okay.
It's a beautifully written story when isolated to just the first game.
Yeah, we won't talk about any potential sequel that might happen.
I mean, it doesn't need one.
No, it's perfect the way it is. Man, when you said trying to find hope, my brain went, I love Danganronpa. And I'm like, no, I don't. I just like it. I just took an interest in it because the girl I was talking to at the time liked it, and went down a weird rabbit hole, man.
Very funny.
It's just too where the girl dies, and they're like, we did this to her body, and I'm like, but why?
For what purpose did this serve?
Literally, we're not going to talk about necrophilia. We'll save that for its own dedicated episode, maybe one day.
Yeah, that's a kettle of fish that I don't touch.
Understandable. I do think it is time for last call. So for the uninitiated, last call is our final thoughts, comments, concerns, or questions that we might have with the topic or the person we're talking to. More likely the latter than the former. So, Puce, do you have anything for last call?
I don't know. Now I just want all of Bark's products.
Same, brother.
I'm deeply flattered, and I really appreciate that.
Like your book is with the other porn books I have. I just have a shelf for it, and everyone's like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Just pick one to start reading."
Well, again, thank you. I do deeply appreciate it. It is because people like my stuff and because people buy commissions from me and support me on Subscribestar that I'm able to do this at all. And in the end, as much as I draw porn, that is still entertainment. My goal is that I want to entertain people. I want people to enjoy what I make.
Same, brother. My last call thing will be, I feel as though after talking to you, you are not doing a disservice to yourself, but I feel like Colossal East is a little too small for what you're doing. You definitely need to go to one of the hentai cons in Texas, which we're going to try to get to one day. Like, I can tell you're very smart by how you laid out all of your topics, even though we did not tell you to do that.
Well, calm down. I can't take all the credit. Again, my wife's idea, and I said, that's a good idea, so I did it.
Okay, fair.
I respect
fair.
the fact that you admit it.
I don't know. I feel as though our con isn't dinky. It's small compared to other things. Like, I feel like you would do very well at an Anime NYC or maybe Anime Expo. I don't know. Anime Expo is a little too corporate from what I keep hearing. So
I do appreciate that. Most conventions I've been to have been small. I've only ever been accepted into smaller conventions, and all of the big ones that I want to be in have turned me down. Even Colossal Con turns me down every time I apply, and I've applied for 3 or 4 years in a row now.
I will talk to him. Very long last call. I can speak, I promise. Where can the nice people find you, even though everyone listening is probably one of your people?
It'd be very funny to me if everybody listening was someone who already knew about me.
That's normally how it goes for guests.
Well, very pleasant to know. To them, I say thank you for following me, and hello. Now you've heard my voice, if you haven't already. As for that, for those who haven't, you can follow me mostly on Twitter. Just simply type @the_Varking, and I should be the first thing to come up. I am shadow banned, so if you look for me without typing it out exactly as it is, you probably won't find me. I won't show up. But I am there. That is where I post daily. Quite literally, I post a finished piece daily. And if I don't have a finished piece to post, it's a sketch or a line art. And you can also follow my work on Subscribestar, where I put a lot of subscriber-exclusive pieces. I don't have a schedule for my posts, though I will be getting one. I typically make about 3 or 4 pieces for subscribers a month. Aside from that, that's about the only places you can find my work as of now, since Instagram implemented a recent AI shenanigan that I don't wish to partake in, so I've stopped updating my Instagram.
Oh?
Yes, the CEO of Instagram mentioned that all reels, stories, clips, and images uploaded to Instagram will be fed into their proprietary AI software.
Oh, crap. That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't even care if there's an opt-out. I don't want a part of that. I don't want people stealing what is essentially characters for my story and feeding it into an AI. So I ignore Instagram now.
That's very upsetting, but extremely understandable. We can't have shit. Can't have shit.
It does feel that way sometimes, and
Yeah.
Twitter isn't the kindest platform for artists,
No, it's not.
especially artists of my field. But follows, likes, comments, shares, literally everything you can do for a piece helps it spread and can help me grow. And if not, simply just saying you like my work still makes me smile. I just like entertaining people in the end.
What is your next project that you're actually allowed to talk about?
On that note, briefly, I also have a website that's just a portfolio, but one day it will be an eShop. I am currently working with somebody on that. That is justthevarking.com, no underscore.
All right, so we're getting the store up and running. Nice, nice.
Yeah, it will happen. It's just a matter of I don't know a time frame quite yet. My next project, could you elaborate on project? Because I have commissions out the ass all the time.
Commissions don't. Commercial project. Yeah, there we go.
Commercial project. I am working on more art for COC2, which will be coming out, I believe, in the upcoming large update. I won't say who, I won't say the character, you'll just have to play to find them. But aside from that, this is a fun little shout out, and I hope it does help them. There is a video game by the name of Torchless. It is a classical wizardry-style dungeon crawler that I am doing, as I currently understand, I am doing all of the art in the gallery section of the game for. I am not the lead artist, nor am I actually a part of the team. I liked the art direction the game was going, so I asked the devs if I could make fan art of one of their characters. I did, and out of the kindness of their heart, they offered me to make a feature in the game just to show off the art I made. And I said, you're going to put a whole feature for a game in your indie game just to show off one piece of fan art I did for you? And they said, yeah, we like it. And I said, no, you're going to put that feature in the game, and I'm going to do fan art of every single character you have in the game. So I'm doing that for them, and it will be in the game. Torchless is a wizardry-style, dungeon-crawling, party-based RPG, similar to RPGs of old Japanese days that are still a popular type of RPG, even modern day, but with a twist. It has a very 90s anime-style flair where the characters are sharp, angular. Dark elves are... Well, they don't actually have dark elves in the setting, but characters are dressed in like tight, skin-tight leotards, like that vaguely resemble bunny suits with thigh-high boots and big gloves with a giant red cape. There's a Viking barbarian type character named Ragnar who just has a shield, a sword, and he's wearing fur, and he goes in and he tanks the shit out of things. It's looking to shape up to be a very fun game if you can handle the aesthetic and if you're willing to put up with the control scheme of the game being old-fashioned. I can. But by old-fashioned, I mean it plays like an old DOS game, where you type Y for yes or N for no, and you press enter to send in the action.
Okay, that's not too bad. I've done worse.
It is on Steam currently. Go wishlist. They're really nice people.
I just did.
Pews, put the link in the chat, so when I'm a human, I will remember. Well, I think that is everything. I have to do our spiel until we get the nice lady to do it for us, because we change it every episode, so it's not consistent, and I would like some type of consistency. So, if you liked what you heard, you can follow us on Twitter, maybe Facebook, if people still use Facebook. We have a Discord where you can talk to us directly, and by us I mean me and Puce. If you want to talk to Vark, you gotta go to his Discord. We also have a Patreon where you can listen to this episode early and uncut. Yes, because I don't think anything too crazy was said. So yes, early and uncut. And if you just want to be nice and give us a few smeckles for a drink, we have a coffee, I think. I don't know. This is why we're making a lady do the words, so consistency. And yeah, with that, I think it's time for us to get out of here. I can't hold the door too much longer. It's really fucking heavy.
I was wondering if you'd slip that in there.
Only for you. It's the one bone I'll throw you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.